This was my first logo when I first launched my photography business in December 2017. And this is my logo now. Quite the change, right? Well, in this world building video, I'm going to tell you the history of my logo. I hope you enjoy. In 2017, I knew I wanted to start a photography business. And as someone who is absolutely obsessed with branding, I knew I needed a business name and logo. The logo itself, we'll talk about shortly. But as far as the name goes, on your screen now was the first instance that TARIQ ABDEL Photography was mentioned in a text or email that I could find. I think I made the right choice not calling it THA Visuals. Visuals being a huge buzzword in 2017 if I remember correctly. Obviously landing on the name TARIQ ABDEL Photography, knowing me as someone who is never satisfied and wanting more, it wasn't enough. I needed a logo, a symbol to go along with the name. This symbol I ultimately ended up choosing, you can see being utilized on past versions of my website and older watermarks and various other places. This and all of my future logos were created by the same graphic designer who I still keep in touch with to this day whenever I need a new logo, graphic, or typography work done. His website will be linked in the description below. Now you may be wondering, what even is this symbol? This logo is inspired by the 16th letter of the Arabic alphabet, pronounced Ta, which of course is also the first letter in my name when spelled in Arabic. Ta, Alif, Ra, Qaf. The idea for this logo was for it to be simple, memorable, and consistent with who I am, or was, as a person. But getting to this point with my designer required a lot of back and forth. And here are some early logo marks of what that process looked like. Once I landed on the sleek design I ended up going with, I still considered somehow incorporating a camera in the logo as well. But I eventually scrapped that idea. By August 2017, just over 4 months before launching my business, the final logo deliverables were sent to me. Now I ended up utilizing the TARIQ ABDEL Photography business identity for the next 2+ years. And during that time, I received some feedback from fellow photographers that stuck with me. One being that as dope and unique as the logo is, anyone who doesn't know or understand the Arabic language will not know what the symbol is at all, or what it has to do with me or photography. Fair enough. The second piece of feedback that stuck with me was that my website domain at the time, tariqabdelphotography.com, which is now inactive, was way too long, and that it could deter people and even potential business from visiting my website. I mean, it is 26 letters long, not including .com, so I can easily see how that could be a deterrent. So the combination of that feedback, my continued growth as a photographer, the success in my business, particularly in the music industry, and my weird obsession with constantly wanting to update and upgrade things, I decided it was time for a logo change, and it needed to include the following. I needed to somehow cut down TARIQ ABDEL Photography to something shorter, and the Ta can't be the main focus anymore, but I still wanted it somehow implemented for sentimental purposes. First, I needed to decide whether or not I was going to change my business name entirely or simply shorten it. But since I had been using TARIQ ABDEL Photography for over 2 years at that point, and realizing how annoying and difficult a complete rebrand would be, it was a no-brainer to shorten my last name and the word photography to the business name I use today, TARIQ ABDEL Photo. I informed my graphic designer of these 2 changes and he provided me with a new set of draft logo marks. Right away, I knew that as my brand continued to evolve and grow, so did my loose branding guidelines, quote unquote. And the font I chose to go with at the time was Futura, if I remember correctly. I chose this font due to working at Nike in the past, and that's the main font they use as well. Little side note though, I use the Impact font now, but this does not reflect in any of my logos to this day. Maybe in the future. Anyways, following my brand guidelines, I automatically eliminated some of the options using a different font. And after the usual back and forth that you end up having with your graphic designer, I eventually landed on the logos you see on the screen now. And according to Twitter, on February 21st, 2020, TARIQ ABDEL Photo was officially launched. Now, if you didn't notice yet, the Ta can be seen in these 2 versions of the logo. And I eventually realized that they were created for my own sentimental reasons since I'm a nostalgic person, so I never used the Ta-based logos for official business usage ever again. Even though I do think this version of the logo is super dope, but I know it isn't practical to use. That said, you can still see it in my current YouTube banner. Little Easter egg there. Now, of course, TARIQ ABDEL Photo was launched right before the start of the pandemic, which shut down the music industry, where I found most of my photography success and fulfillment. I've told this story a couple times on my channel already, but due to the music industry shutting down, I eventually pivoted to YouTube and started working on the channel you're watching right now. And as some of you may already know, I fell in love with YouTube. And throughout this time, I started to heavily focus on video much more than photo. Even in the music industry, when it opened back up, video became much more important than photo with the rise of short-form vertical content. But I knew I couldn't change my business name to TARIQ ABDEL Video or TARIQ ABDEL Media. Even a change as small as that would have been too abrupt. And I already had brand recognition and SEO in place by this point. But with YouTube becoming so prevalent in my life, I knew I had to somehow implement a change. I ended up deciding to somehow combine the YouTube logo and my TARIQ ABDEL photo logo, but only after I became a YouTube partner. That way, there was at least some sort of validation behind the decision outside of my own personal wants. This idea was first countered by my designer, which I kind of agreed with, but I knew I wasn't going to stop YouTube anytime soon. And this is the direction I wanted my business and personal brand to take. Similarly to 2017 and 2020, he sent me some draft logo marks of what the combination of the two logos would look like. And after some back and forth and going through the decision-making process, by August 2023, the time I officially became a YouTube partner, I simultaneously launched my present-day logo. What started as a logo that represented a photography business with not much direction or experience is now a logo that represents my personal brand with almost 7 years of professional experience in the photo and video space, almost 1 million views on YouTube, and a plethora of legendary clientele. I plan on hanging on to this current logo for the foreseeable future, and unless there's some drastic change in my business or the world, I'm in no rush to update my logo anytime soon. That said, knowing me, who knows what could happen.